Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends, welcome back to this session of innovations in marketing and marketing of innovation. Up till now we have been focusing upon a contextual understanding of how should we be looking upon especially the concept of innovations in marketing. And just to remind you that it is not that we are trying to somehow change the context which we have been building upon for so many decades as far as marketing process goes. We are trying to search for the scope of innovations within that marketing process, and that search is on the basis of lots of research which has been done or gone into this subject, good books which have been written on this subject, along with the experiences which practical world has been having. So many marketers, they have been expressing their concern in terms of finding scope of innovation in marketing and so on. So, and definitely academic discussions and feedback from students and so much of understanding and knowledge which has gone into this. That is how we are trying to go ahead. So, carrying forward from the discussion we have had last time, I will be taking you towards the definitional perspective, and I showed you that slide last time. Here we go. So, there are two definitional frameworks, definitions. One is definition of marketing, which is contemporarily being followed. It was adopted in 2017 by and given by American Marketing Association, and then definition of innovation. And you see, there are great thinkers who have been contributing in terms of as far as this whole scenario goes, especially in terms of marketing and innovation, and people have been thinking the correlation and or let us say intrinsic relationship of innovation and marketing, like a very great thinker of our times, Peter Drucker. So, he talks about that a business enterprise has two and only two basic functions. You see, that is how he converges everything into the correlation of these two elements, marketing and innovation. So, he talks about this with lots of experience and lots of understanding which he developed in due course of time, and we all know that he is a great author. So, let us try and build up our case upon this premise which Drucker and other thinkers they have been talking of. I am very fond of quoting Mahatma Gandhi on several aspects, and I take him to be one of the most influential thinkers world has ever seen. Not to undermine other thinkers, they have been the world has seen very great thinkers, but I am personally I would not say a follower, because I have not been able to follow Bapu so intensely, but definitely I have been trying to find out the context of his philosophy, his perspective. So, Bapu also quoted several times on the satisfaction of customers, build up of markets, small enterprise, and if we try to correlate all his thinking, we would realize that Bapu focused upon integration of almost everything, which itself is innovation. I will be talking about these kind of things which Mahatma Gandhi talked about with respect to equitable economic development and fruits to be distributed amongst all the stakeholders. So, that requires lots of innovation as far as the whole process goes, because last time if you remember, and that thought also was influenced by Bapu's thoughts, when I started my discussion with the perspective of that let us eliminate the needs and the subsequent wants, and then let a marketer come up and think about that if it happens, how a marketer would start putting up things in perspective on satisfying customer wants with benefits to be distributed amongst all the stakeholders, including the benefit of the customers. So, that premise we tried to build up, and last time we tried to focus upon, as you remember, how historically it happened. We wanted this world to be a prosperous place, which sort of looks like that. Definitely a lot of opulence has come in, and lot of growth has been witnessed by this world. Technological advancement has been seen, but have we reached to a place that where marketing has solved its purpose of equitable growth and passing on the fruits of growth to all the stakeholders? I, as the student of marketing and strategy, take this as the responsibility of marketing as such. I cannot say that it is the concentric kind of a thing which we should be pursuing upon, but by point of view which I have from this side, that is the thought which comes to me. So, historically we slightly, I should not say moved away from that, but we were not in that particular direction, as we can see. So, now coming back to this definitional framework, the definition of marketing, you have heard about this, you have seen that earlier, and I have talked about this in my earlier subjects as well, if some of you would have attended one of those. So, marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering and exchanging offerings that have value for clients, customers, partners and society at large. If we look at this definitional framework, try and incorporate the innovation and scope of innovation which an activity may have. For example, marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes. How to incorporate innovation through and through with the perspective of generating value for all the stakeholders and percolating that value in consonance with business environment as well as environment at large. It is not a complicated puzzle. It is a matter of choices which marketing has to foresee and has to be made by the business world for developing the opportunity for all the stakeholders in due course of time, along with the fact that where this process would take us. Today at this stage we can accuse plastic and plastic manufacturers and plastic development overwhelmingly. But my point is that this should have been seen at the stage when plastic was being introduced as an answer to so many problems. Why marketers could not think in terms of putting up a picture where even if we were going for that kind of a choice, we had to cut it off somewhere by new product innovation in terms of replacement of plastic. After all, this could have been done, but then we went for scaled up kind of a progression, as we have talked about earlier. One single product which is so rampant today in this world, I would not go into the statistics, you may find out from different kinds of sources and statista as well, that what kind of demonstration plastic does in terms of usage, in terms of quantity, in terms of that quantity converted into dollars or rupees and so on. Now, having reached to this stage, we are finding ways to neutralize that. That again is a good thing, very good thing, but shouldn't it be the thing that we imagine the complete value chain with that kind of a perspective? Here comes the role of imagining innovation within activities, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating and delivering offerings. Here comes how to be innovative in creating, how to be innovative in subsequently communicating, delivering and exchanging offerings that have value. Here I reiterate my stand which I have been doing in so many other subjects and demonstrations, that value should not be read just as value, it should be read with a connotation of values. So, offerings that have values, S written in parenthesis, value for customers, clients, partners and society at large. Customer would not have known at that particular kind of a stage that this easy, usable, handy plastic would be detrimental for whole of this world. Marketer definitely was aware about this. People who were developing this product in labs, they knew the composition, they knew what this would do in due course of time. I am not accusing anyone here, but we very well understood that where it would take us. There are so many documentaries, there are so many after effect analysis which has been done on this simple single product. We may choose to talk about several other products in this world about that, going for a retrospective analysis, but then that would be a critique kind of a thing which this subject does not intend to go for. The motive of this subject and the discussion on this definition here is that we should be focusing upon developing a thought process now onwards to make choices which actually would create value for the clients, customers, partners and society, including the environment at large. Here comes the definition of innovation, wherein a new or improved product, you see now it makes sense, a new or improved product or process, a new alternative to plastic or process or combination thereof that differs significantly from the unit's previous products or processes and that has been made available to potential users or brought into use by the unit. Fit in this definition, in this marketing definition. Imagine a product, activity, set of institutions, processes, whichever way you want to look at it. This definition, while imagining that thing, you would realize that our earlier argument on reducing and eliminating things from the scenario, from your surroundings makes a lot of sense. But you as a customer or a learner can do it that easily. Marketers, if they would do that, they have to look at complete value chain. If some of you are marketers, then definitely it is a puzzle. You have to look into the accounting processes. You cannot reduce the revenue being generated at this moment by your division or your company and products. But on the other side, you have to somehow match the context of innovation with marketing in terms of that it should be good in generating value for society at large and people at large. You may choose anything. For example, you may choose soft drinks, beverages, which are good, people like those, but marketers, are they thinking in terms of the health aspect of the customers who are being served so many beverages? They definitely are thinking about that. I have seen several interviews of organizational leaders who do not say that some of their products are not good for the health if are consumed beyond a certain limit, because that is anti-marketing campaign which they are going for, but somehow they have been focusing upon development of fruit based products and so on, because they know that at the end of the day they must feel responsibility towards the customers. Then several other food items basically. People talk about sugar and salt based products. There is another set of marketers who are actually trying to reduce the effect which fast food and sweet products they generate in due course of time. There is a other lot of marketers and qualified dentists and people and whole of the dental industry which is focusing upon the after effects of these kind of products which generate a detrimental effect on the teeth of people, more or less. Can these both thought processes be combined at a particular kind of a stage? We love to eat chocolates, but then when did chocolate industry try to innovate upon the communication process of selling their chocolates while telling people that eat chocolates but brush at the end of the day? Have we been talking about this? It is not, as I say, that a paradoxical perspective, it is just going for a responsibility perspective in terms of whole of the scenario goes. I wonder many times, automotive manufacturing, two-wheeler manufacturing has gone an age off in due course of time in terms of numbers and developing the market as such. But the point of view which I wish to share with you is that there are several responsible driving campaigns which have gone for that, for that matter. There are several kinds of measures which have been taken by automotive manufacturers to reduce the rate of rash driving or motivating people to be responsible in those kind of terms, which are commendable. But have we integrated innovation in the process of the whole scenario? Nowadays, thanks to the government policies and the current situation, which is very motivating when government puts up riders in terms of speed, in especially in public vehicles or taxis, wherein people cannot drive beyond a certain kind of speed, so as to maintain harmony between, as far as as far as the whole traffic scenario goes, and maintaining that into a manageable speed. But that is coming from the government policy side. Why it couldn't come from the organizational side? I am not saying that they should have tied up the speed, because they were selling speed, but the point is that could we be innovative enough in terms of product, or could we be innovative in terms of communication, or let us say guidance at the level of sales points, or whichever way, to put up things which could be rationalized at the end of the day. And that is one view. Then today we are worried about the pollutions caused by vehicles. When did we start thinking in terms of this thing? Was it guided by some others who were looking at the scenario from outside, some awareness groups or government or institutions associated with that? Why automotive industry was not looking at this? And again, as I said, it is not critique. It would have raised their business and the life cycle of the products in due course of time, because ultimately customer would have felt that they are feeling responsible for me. And that is where innovation marketing comes in. These are very basic fundamental examples. I would be going for different kinds of examples, elaborating upon the value chain effect of those examples in due course of time, definitely. And till then, try and build up the role of definition of innovation into the definition of marketing. If you may like, you try to merge these definitions as an exercise, just write them so that a large meaningful paragraph should come out of both of these definitions at one go. This can be food for thought as far as the whole scenario goes. Now look at one more thing. What we are trying to discuss here is, we are trying to understand a wonderful, or we are sort of generating an equation of sorts, although I would not put it that way. We are trying to focus upon the correlation of innovation with the world at large. Very simple thought, but not just world at large, the world we want to be, we wish for, the world we foresee. That is the point of, as far as the whole situation goes. What kind of a world I would like to have? For example, let us look at toy manufacturers, education, knowledge providers, knowledge equipment providers. We all know the number of children in this world. We all know that every child requires an education, and it is not that you should distribute everything for free. We have already talked about fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, which is a very pivotal philosophy and a perspective given by late Professor C.K. Prahalad, and a very influential thinker of our times, who has talked about that every living human being in this world is a customer at large, because whatever is being provided to them is afforded by someone or provided by someone in due course of time as far as the economic value goes. But doesn't it make sense that the book producers, the knowledge content developers, the sports equipment manufacturers, the toy manufacturers should create a market structure so that every child should be reached with these kind of products? It is not just lowering down the prices, it is not just bringing in cost effectiveness in the process that we have been trying hard to do, and someone has been subsidizing that cost and profits at the end of the day, but it is being innovative in terms of reaching people. Why did not we go for recorded books long back? Why did not we translate the books for masses long back? We had FM radio technology available since ages. Why we did not go for, or book manufacturers, why did not they think in terms of developing FM radios for village schools so that books can be narrated in the local languages, and at the end of the day sales can be raised through different parameters, and if somehow we bring in those people who are learned enough, who can be torch bearers for knowledge so as to propel their business as well. Why we did not distribute toys, these bricks based toys, small bricks, for generating an acumen and intelligence, or let us say developing the minds of several kinds of people, or students and children in village areas and so on. Why we did not take this technological advancement towards them? Why we have not been showing larger documentaries and best of the movies and best of the films associated with knowledge and science to them? Many organizations are doing that. People have started taking science at the doorsteps of the students. There are many good organizations, large organizations which are working in this field, and I am happy to see that large investments, even donations, they have been provided in this kind of a direction. But I am not talking about people who are going for those with philanthropic perspective. I am talking about that why marketers did not think about that. That is the question, and it makes sense. If you are leaving aside a population of 2 billion, 4 billion children who are not somehow being catered to, even if by simple dynamics you are losing on 2 rupees per child, you are losing billions of rupees. It is up to our intelligence how to look at that situation in terms of capitalizing upon that market, and that is the most important thing. And finally, coming back to creating, communicating, delivering and exchanging offerings for which have value for clients, customers, partners in society at large. So, why did not we think in terms of creating that kind of a value for them? Today, every nook and corner we have mobile phones. We could have foreseen this because we were monitoring, knowledge industry, content industry was monitoring the development of mobile industry at large, and that is where the whole scenario comes in. Look at this, that is how innovation in marketing can be structuralized in terms of as far as the whole scenario goes. A reference is given in this slide for as far as your use goes. You can definitely go into this reference and read further, wherein the authors talk about innovations in marketing encapsulates new product services, and that is precisely what we are talking. Knowledge on radio, that can be a product. After all, Alexa and these kind of products and Google products, they came in. Alexa, Google based products, they are doing okay, I do not know. Kindle is doing okay, I do not know. I am not much aware of as far as actual statistics goes at this moment. We may bring in data for you, but again the point is why Alexa or other such kind of products did not look for people who actually required that basically. It is just like that you are selling nutrients to people who are more healthy as compared to people who are struggling for maintaining good health in rural areas, who are malnourished or undernourished and so on. So, nutrients are to be sold to them rather than to people who somehow are not that healthy. Makes sense? It is again an equation which can be matched with different kinds of production capabilities and distribution capabilities or lots of communication capabilities, and innovation everywhere. So, new products and services, design, whole lot of a structure around design of different kinds of products, and that is why I named toys. Toys, they have a lot of scope in terms of education. Toys is a big industry which can be capitalized, or which can capitalize a huge naive nascent progression of foreseen market in due course of time, going to people who actually require that kind of an input. Price definitely can be tweaked upon with different kinds of price combinations, and I talked about that in my briefly talked about in my last discussions, that it evolved historically. So, that definitely is going on for newer versions of as far as pricing the different kinds of products go. Distribution and promotion. If we can take technology, cement, automotive repair, cable television, internet television to nooks and corners of this world, mobile phones everywhere, Coca-Cola everywhere, alcoholic beverages everywhere, why can't we take education and knowledge everywhere? Why can't we associate that? And to me, and it is not just a utopic thought, and it is just not any philanthropic kind of a perspective. Serving society at large is the fundamental thought, and being the student of marketing, I wish to pursue that if somehow we could have built up the content and knowledge industry so vast that whole of the world could have been connected with that kind of a knowledge, world definitely can be much a better place, because then we would have this climate and environment perspective built up long back. We could have water related awareness built up long back, and the kind of cost that would have saved in terms of awareness generation, leave aside everything else, would have been extremely different. If today we were not short of water, then world would definitely have been different place, and that was definitely associated with lots of awareness and knowledge built up in due course of time. I would be talking about few elements, unfolding these aspects in terms of examples in my subsequent session, along with the fact that we would be traversing briefly about the conceptual build up of or slight elaboration on marketing of innovation. And then in future sessions we would be focusing upon more on innovations in marketing or innovation in marketing, and then almost halfway through, as I told you earlier, I would be coming back to marketing of innovation and products and services related to that. Keep going ahead with this subject with an open mind, looking at this world with a prospect of being much better based on innovation and marketing. I will be seeing you in my next session. Till then, goodbye.